According to the dictionary, the word doctrine is defined as a set of beliefs based on teachings, but the so-called doctrine known as the Trinity has been exposed by their own so-called church fathers and scholars as aberrant and contradictory. In other words, not a viable set of beliefs that points to anything we can truly call a doctrine is found in this word of Trinity. For example, Gregory of Nyssa or Nyssa, one of the architects of this so-called doctrine, wrote, "Do not be amazed if we declare that the same thing is united and distinct and conceive, as in a riddle, of a new and paradoxical unity in distinction and distinction in unity, the Trinity." And in modern times, we have Dr. Millard Erickson, who admits in his book, God in Three Persons, it may also be necessary, in order to convey the unusual meaning involved in this doctrine, to utilize what analytical philosophers would term logically odd language. This means using language in such a way as intentionally to commit grammatical errors. Thus, I have sometimes said of the Trinity, he are three, or they is one. Now, the true biblical sound doctrine, as the Apostle Paul calls it, is revealed throughout the scriptures. There are close to 1,000 occurrences of the word one, for example, in Hebrew echad, Greek is, 11,000 occurrences of the word God, in Hebrew Elohim, in Greek theos, and nowhere can it be shown that these words refer to more than one person. For example, the phrase one Lord, which comes from the divine name Yahweh or Jehovah, one God, never means three separate, distinct persons at the same time. Instead, what you will find throughout the scriptures are actually warnings to abandon the worship of multiple gods. Deuteronomy 5, I am Yahweh or Jehovah, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. 1 Corinthians 8, there may be so-called gods, both in heaven and on earth, and some people actually worship many gods and many lords. But for us, that is, us Christians, there is one God, the Father. German scholar Karl-Heinz Uhlig, if it's certain, and there seems to be no getting around this assumption, that Jesus himself knew only of the God of Israel, whom he called Father, and not of his own later deification, by what right can a doctrine of the Trinity then be normative? It is certain that the doctrine of the Trinity possesses no biblical foundation whatsoever, and also not a product of progressive revelation. Theology must gradually face the facts.